Sure. So I will be presenting with Omar Hafez and Matt Kazan from Avalere on the drug pricing provisions of the Inflation Reduction Act, where we are in implementation of those provisions, as well as the implications for stakeholders across the pharmaceutical supply chain. So there are three provisions that are part of the Inflation Reduction Act. One is a penalty for manufacturers that increase prices faster than the rate of inflation, and that provision is actually already in effect today. And then as we look ahead, the Act also requires Medicare to redesign the Part D benefit starting in 2025, as well as gives the Medicare program the authority to directly negotiate drug prices for the first time beginning in 2026. So thinking ahead to these other provisions, CMS is implementing policies now and making policy decisions that are going to impact things like how manufacturers approach product development, the benefit design in the Part D program, contracting for drugs, as well as access to care. So we'll be talking about some of these forward-looking issues and the types of things that plans, manufacturers, pharmacies, and other stakeholders should be planning for as the law continues to be implemented over the next several months. Yeah, absolutely. So this is the most significant healthcare reform since the Affordable Care Act. It's the most fundamental reform to the Medicare Part D benefit since the inception of the program. So if you're in the business of healthcare, you'll want to be thinking about these policy proposals and what your strategy is going to be to adapt. So when we think about something like Medicare Part D redesign, for example, there are a lot of questions about how CMS is going to change the rules for plans going into 2025, because plans will be taking on a significantly greater liability than they have today. So that's going to impact things like formulary management of specialty drugs, how plans are contracting on those products, and also has implications for manufacturers as well. And then when we think about Medicare negotiation, we now know what the criteria will be for determining eligibility for negotiation. CMS is supposed to publish the first list of negotiation eligible drugs on September 1st, but using data, we have reasonable ability to predict which drugs are going to be in that list. And so manufacturers are already starting to think ahead to how they're going to plan for participation in that process and what that's going to mean for their business. One of the things that the IRA underscores is the importance of integration across functions. So policy, market access, business development. And so one of the strengths of Avalere as a firm is that we have a really strong depth of expertise across those different functional areas. We have a policy practice that's keeping a pulse on what's happening in Washington, D.C., and can be really technical about the types of questions that the government is wrestling with right now as they're implementing this law. We have a market access practice that's really well positioned to work with both plans and manufacturers as far as their strategies from more of a business perspective, as well as a financial services practice that's thinking about what all of this means for valuation of products and business development activity in the pharmaceutical space. And then we also have an evidence practice that's thinking about things like how the government is going to assess value of products and what that means for pricing, and how manufacturers can adapt their strategies in order to succeed under this new framework. And so we're really well positioned to integrate across those different perspectives and advise on topics like the IRA that really sit at the crossroads of those four areas.